Welcome to the Madison Miller Podcast Special Edition Show, the 2023 college football season's predictions. This is the whole group of 5 plus independents. So we will start with the AAC. We're going to do it rapid fire style. So I have winning the conference with a record of 12-0 overall, 8-0 in conference play, the UTSA Roadrunners. I think they're going to be amazing this year. Loaded team. Frank Harris is going to be in play for the Heisman. A ton of good receivers and special teamers. Good pass rushing. Good secondary. There's some guys that they lost, but I think they have the talent to overcome it. Coming in second in the conference, 10-2 overall, 8-0 in conference play, the SMU Mustangs. I think SMU is going to be really good. Preston Stone's a good quarterback. They have good talent around him. Okay offensive line. They have decent defensive backs, but I really don't trust the rest of their defense. They have good special teams as well, and they'll miss Rashee Rice on offense. Third, I have 10-2 overall, 7-1 in conference play, the Tulane Green Wave. I think Tulane's going to be really good. Michael Pratt's going to be in play for the Heisman, too. Very good offensively. A couple transfers coming in, too. They have a good offensive line. Good run defense. Secondary questionable. Good special teams, too. Fourth, 7-5 overall, 5-3 in conference play, the Rice Owls. I think Rice is going to be better than expected this year. Quarterback questions. They have good weapons. Offensive line questions. Good secondary. Coming in fifth, 7-5 overall, 5-3 in conference play, the North Texas Mean Green. I think North Texas could end up better than this. Senior-laden wide receiver group, a good running back, good offensive line, good pass rush too. Decent defensive backs. Some losses, I think, that can hurt them, too. Sixth, 6-6 overall. 4-4 in conference play, the Navy Midshipmen. Navy has some good running backs. They have questions all over the offense, though, outside of them. A couple good pass rushers. Questionable secondary, good punter, and Riley Ruthman. 7th, 6-6 overall, 4-4 in conference play. The UAB Blazers, I think UAB can be better than this. The move conferences could hurt them. Questions on offense, okay line. I think their defense is more of a quantity than their offense. Dwayne McBride, big loss at running back for sure. And they have a ton of other big losses I think it'll be hard for them to overcome, and including Sterling Thomas, too. He was pretty good. Coming in 8th, 7-5 overall, 4-4 in conference play, the Memphis Tigers. Memphis is interesting. Questions on the offense, but they do have a quarterback in Seth Hennigan. Blake Watson, good transfer coming in. Decent line. Good run defense. Seth Morgan's their kicker. He's a transfer as well. Couple of key losses, including the tight end Caden Pirkscorn, who is a transfer. 9th, 4-8 overall, 3-5 in conference play, the Temple Owls. Temple, they do have some talent. I'm not going to lie about that. They have good tight ends, a decent receiver, a really good defense, sneaky good defense, with a lot of veterans and a good mix of guys. Coming in 10th, 3-9 overall, 2-6 in conference play, the South Florida Bulls. South Florida really hasn't been good for a while now. Naquan Wright's a good running back. Offensive line has some questions. They have a good linebacker in DJ Gordon, the 4th. Some big losses, Jimmy Horn on special teams and wide receiver. He'll be missed, and so is Brian Battle. 11-3-9 overall, 2-6 in conference play, the FAU Owls. I think they will not benefit from the move yet to the AAC. They have a good running back in Larry McCammon, the 3rd. Good receiver in LeJontay Wester. Decent secondary, questionable pass rush. Offensive line has some questions. They have some key losses too. 12th, 3-9 overall, 2-6 in conference play. The East Carolina Pirates. East Carolina obviously loses some key guys offensively. C.J. Johnson, Isaiah Winstead, Keaton Mitchell, Rajai Harris still there, Jalen Johnson still there. Questionable offensive line. Not a terrible pass rush for Chad Stevens, Jeremy Lewis. Third, 3-9 overall, or 13, 3-9 overall, 2-6 in conference play. The Tulsa Hurricanes. Tulsa, interesting group of players. Good running backs, decent receiver. Offensive line questions, pass rush questions. Key losses, Anthony Goodlow and Justin Wright due to transfer. And in the cellar, 2-10 overall, 1-7 in conference play, the Charlotte 49ers. Charlotte has the least amount of talent in this conference, and I really don't think it's that close. They have a good special teamer in Chadrick Bird, a good center in Johnny King. A lot of questions on defense, especially in the secondary. Big loss, Elijah Spencer to transfer, and the quarterback Chris Reynolds, who put up some numbers for them. All right, the ACC championship game. It'll be between the SMU Mustangs and the UTSA Roadrunners. I think it'll be a great game, back and forth. But I just think UTSA has way more talent. Although SMU is going to be really good offensively, they're going to be hard to stop. But I just think the defense on UTSA will be the difference. So I'm going to say UTSA over SMU in what should be a fun AAC title game. So let's save the futures for last. Conference USA, a much smaller conference. I combine the words much and small there for a second. All right, I have winning the conference with an 11-1 record overall, 8-0 in conference play. The UTEP Miners. I think UTEP has a ton of talent. Gavin Hardison, good quarterback. Really good offensive line protecting him, which is important. Good wide receivers. Really good pass rush. Good linebackers. Good defensive backs. And really good special teams, too. Second, 10-2 overall, 7-1 in conference play. The Louisiana Tech Bulldogs. I think Louisiana Tech is a team that's going to bounce back in a big way this year. They have a ton of talent on the team. Hank Bachmeier at quarterback. They have a good running back room, good receiver room, and Smoke Harris at special teams. Excellent offensive line. Their defense is but their secondary isn't that bad. Jacob Barnes, good kicker. Third, 93 overall, 6-2 in conference fight. The Western Kentucky Hilltoppers. Western Kentucky is going to be really good offensively. Austin Reed at quarterback. Davion Urban Poindexter at running back. Two good receivers and special teamers. Really good offensive line. Their pass rush has some questions, but I really like their secondary. And their special team kicker-punter combo is excellent. Coming in fourth, 8-4 overall, 4-4 in conference play, the Liberty Flames. Liberty moves to the Conference USA, and I think it'll pay off. They have a lot of good transfers coming in. Quentin Cooley at running back, Reese Smith and C.J. Daniels at receiver. Noah Firth is still there. Really good offensive line. Good run defense. Good secondary. Demario Douglas, big loss on offense, though, as well as Day Hunter. Fifth, 6-6 overall, 2-6 in conference play, the New Mexico State Aggies. New Mexico State might be a little bit better than expected this season. Diego Pava, quarterback, two good running backs in Star Thomas, Giovanni Jones. Receivers pretty good. Offensive line has some questions, especially on the right side. And then their defense, iffy. They do have a decent corner in Andre Selden. Good kicker in Ethan Albertson. Coming in 6th, 3-9 overall, 2-6 in conference play, Sam Houston. I don't think Sam Houston's going to be very good. They have some good receivers in F.A. Day. And then Zach Herbeck, the running back's pretty good. I do like their linebackers, though. Their linebackers are pretty good. Coming in 7th, 4-8 overall, 2-6 in conference play, Middle Tennessee Blue Raiders. I think Middle Tennessee, their offense isn't going to be good. They have a couple tackles that I like, but their defense is going to be excellent. I really like their pass rush, and their secondary is going to be pretty good too. 8th, 3-9 overall, 1-7 in conference play. The Jacksonville State Gamecocks, new to the Conference USA, new to FBS. I think that the transition won't be as smooth as it was for James Madison last year. Couple of good running backs and receivers, and tight end pretty good. Not a terrible offensive line. Pass rush could be good. Couple of good safeties. And at the bottom, 4-8 overall, 1-7 in conference play, the FIU Panthers. I just don't think FIU has a lot of talent. They have a good quarterback in Grayson James, and he'll keep them in games. Some decent weapons, not a terrible offensive line. But they have no secondary. They're going to be thrown on all the time. And in the Conference USA title game, I have it being UTEP against Louisiana Tech. Really good game. Both teams are absolutely loaded on both sides of the ball, but I think the difference here is UTEP's defense. I think their experience on defense will pay off. So I'm going to go with UTEP over Louisiana Tech in the Conference USA title game. Now I'm going to do the independents. I have coming in first among the group 10-2, the Notre Dame Fighting Irish. Notre Dame's loaded, as we know. Sam Hartman comes in from Wake. Really good running backs in Audric Estimene and Chris Tyree on special teams. Two really good sophomore receivers in Tobias Merriweather and Jaden Thomas. A good tight end, Mitchell Evans. A really good offensive line. Pass rush is pretty good. Their linebackers are pretty good. Really good secondary. And Doc Yakum on special teams as the kicker is pretty good too. Jarrett Patterson and Michael Meyer, two big losses on offense. Isaiah Foskey and Jason Admalola, big losses on defense. Next up, UConn. I have them going 4-8. I think UConn takes a step back this year. Victor Rose is back at running back. Not a terrible offensive line. Their defense is going to be good. Good secondary, good linebackers, good special teams too. That can keep them in games. 3-9, I have Army. Army just lost a lot of talent. They have good special teams with Jacoby Buchanan and Tyrell Robinson, both at running backs. They have good offensive linemen, two good guards. Their defense is non-existent. They have a good kicker in Cole Talley. And I have at 1-11 the UMass Minutemen. UMass is just always terrible. They have no good offensive players to speak of. Their secondary might be good, and they have a good run stopper in Billy Wooden. They've lost some pieces offensively. Cam Sullivan-Brown and Greg Zores Jr. are two big losses on the defensive side of the ball. All right, now the MAC. All right, I have winning the MAC 10-2 overall, 7-1 in conference fight in the East. MAC East, Ohio. The Bobcats of Ohio. I think Ohio is very veteran-laden. They have experience. Good quarterback in Curtis Roque. Really good receivers. Good running back. That's a sophomore. Offensive line has some questions, and I think that their defense is not very good. Second, 10-2 overall, 7-1 in conference play. The Miami Redhawks of Ohio. They have Blaine Gabrett's brother at quarterback, Brett Gabbert. Don't like their offensive line. Their defense is going to be good. Third in this division, 7-5 overall, 5-3 in conference play. The Bowling Green Falcons. Bowling Green, I think, is going to be better than some think. Really good skill position guys. Offensive line questionable. They do have some talent on defense, but not a lot. Fourth in the division, 7-5 overall, 5-3 in conference fight. The Akron Zips. I think Akron might actually be not terrible. They're gonna score with anybody in that conference. CJ Irons at quarterback, really good receivers in Alex Adam and Daniel George. But their defense is just non-existent. Fifth in the division, 3-9 overall, 2-6 in conference fight. The Buffalo Bulls. I do not think that Buffalo is going to be as good as they usually are in conference. They have good running backs. They have questions at quarterback and the offensive line. Their defense, I think, is going to be good as well as their special teams. And at the bottom of the division, 2-10 overall, 1-7 in conference play, the Kent State Golden Flashes. They have literally no talent on offense other than Xavier Williams. And then their defense could be okay. The West Division, 10-2 overall, 7-1 in conference play, the Toledo Rockets. I think Toledo is going to be pretty good. Veteran-laden group, DeQuan Finn at quarterback, Jaquez Stewart running back, really good receivers, good offensive line, really good secondary, which matters. Second in the division, 6-6 overall, 4-4 in conference play. The Northern Illinois Huskies. All right, Northern Illinois, they have some talent. They don't have positionally good talent, but their offensive line, skill position talent, their offensive line is going to be excellent. And so is their pass rush, and I think that's going to matter within the trenches. Third in the division, 6-6 overall, 4-4 in conference play. The Eastern Michigan Eagles. Eastern Michigan has some questions offensively, questions on the line, questions at quarterback, really good skill position players, good linebackers, no pass rush. Fourth, 5-7 overall, 3-5 in conference play. The Ball State Cardinals. Ball State's interesting. They're similar to Northern Illinois, that they don't have much skill offensively, but they're better on the offensive line. Their linebackers are really good too. In fifth in this division, 4-8 overall, 3-5 in conference play. The Central Michigan Chippewas. Central, not a lot of talent offensively. Their defense is going to be really good. They have a good run defense. Linebackers are good. And a really good secondary. Maybe they're in low-scoring games. And at the bottom division, 1-11 overall, 0-8 in conference play. The Western Michigan Broncos. They have the least amount of talent in the conference. No pass rush. Not a lot of skill offensively and questions at quarterback. And then MAC championship, I'm going to go with Toledo over Ohio. All right, now the Mountain West. This is one of my favorite conferences. And by the way, this is not a division conference anymore. They broke up the divisions, which was good. So I'm winning the conference 10-2 overall, 7-1 in conference play. The Boise State Broncos. I think Boise State's loaded. They're loaded every year. And if I'm not mistaken, I feel like last year was a down year for Boise. And they went 9-3, so that's not really a down year, but it felt like a down year. They are loaded offensively, a ton of talent. Taylon Gray, good quarterback. George Hilani, good running back. Really good receivers led by Stephon Cobbs. Good tight end Riley Smith. Good offensive line. But are they going to stop anybody is the question. Second, 8-4 overall, 7-1 in conference play. The San Jose State Spartans. I think San Jose State's going to be pretty good. Good quarterback in Chavon Cordero. Good running back in Kerry Robinson. Good receivers, good tight end. Offensive line has some questions. Where's the pass rush, though? But they do have a good secondary. Third, 8-4 overall, 6-2 in conference play. The San Diego State Aztecs. I think San Diego State is a good team. I really like Brady Hoke. I think he might be a Power 5 coach next year, maybe. He's coaching somebody like Cal. I like Jaden Maiden, the quarterback, and Kenan Christian at running back. Mekhi Shaw's a good receiver. Good tight end, Mark Redmond. Good line. Decent pass rush. Really good secondary. So they're going to be a good defensive team. And they have a good, versatile special teamer in Jack Browning. Fourth, 7-5 overall, 5-3 in conference play. The Wyoming Cowboys. Wyoming is an interesting team. They have a good running game. Solid offensive line. Good tight end, Trayton Welsh. Really good defense with the pass rush. Devontae Harris and Brendan Siders. And Cole Godbert as well. Good linebackers. And good special teams, too. Fifth, 8-4 overall, 5-3 in conference play. The Fresno State Bulldogs. I think Fresno State's going to be pretty good. They have a good quarterback and transfer, Mikey Keene. Really good offensive line, which is going to help them. Really good defense. Really like the pass rush there, Johnny Hudson and Davo Bridges. And they actually have a pretty good secondary, too. Sixth, 8-4 overall, 4-4 in conference play. The Air Force Falcons. I actually think that the Mountain West is going to be awesome this year. 6 teams finishing with 7 or more wins. And 5 with finishing with 8 or more wins. So that's a win for that conference. So I like Air Force. 2 good running backs, and John Lee Eldridge III and Brad Roberts. Really good offensive line. Decent pass rush, but the strength of this team might be the secondary, led by Michael Mack and Jaden Goodwin. Coming in 7th, 4-8 overall, 3-5 in conference play, the Nevada Wolf Pack. Nevada has a transfer coming in, Sean Dollars at running back. They have other questions around their offense. And can they really stop anybody? 8th, 5-7 overall, 3-5 in conference play. The New Mexico Lobos. Mexico's an interesting team. Christian Washington's a good special teams player and running back. Questions along the offensive line and the pass rush. Not a terrible secondary, though. Coming in 9th, 5-7 overall, 3-5 in conference play. The UNLV Rebels. UNLV's an interesting team. They have some talent on offense, Courtney Reese and Ricky White. A good-ish offensive line. And their strength of their team is probably their secondaries, too. Aiden Robbins, big loss on offense for them. 10th, 4-8 overall, 2-6 in conference play. The Utah State Aggies. I think Utah State is a team that is not heading in the right direction. They had a good year 2 years ago, but I think they're heading in the opposite direction. I just think the conference has passed them by a little bit. Teams like San Jose State and such, even Air Force. Good special teams guys with Cooper Jones and Terrell Vaughn. Robert Briggs, a good running back. Decent secondary, too. And they'll miss Brian Cobbs on offense. 13, 3-9 overall, 2-6 in conference play. The Colorado State Rams. Colorado State doesn't have a lot of talent. Trey Horton on receiver and special teams. Justice Ross Simmons on receiver. Offensive line questions. Decent pass rush, though, led by Grady Kelly and Drew Kulik. And the secondary is actually pretty good with Colorado State as well. And then in the cellar, 2-11 overall, 1-7 in conference play. The Hawaii Rainbow Warriors. They probably have the least amount of talent in the conference. Tillin Hayes at running back. Jonah Pinoque at receiver. And their defense might actually be okay. Cam Stone comes in as a transfer at corner, so maybe they won't be bad. All right, Mountain West Championship, and I said maybe they won't be that bad defensively. But let's see here. I think San Jose State and Boise State would be a really good matchup. 2 really good quarterbacks in Taylon Green and Trayvon Cordero. But I just think Boise's loaded. And San Jose State doesn't have many answers on defense, so I'm going to go with Boise State over San Jose State in the Mountain West Championship. The Sun Belt. All right. Rapid fire time for the South Belt. The Sun Belt. East Division, 10-2 overall, 7-1 in conference play, Coastal Carolina. Grayson McCall's back at quarterback. They have a loaded offense around him. Pretty good linebackers. Some questions in the secondary, though. Second, 9-3 overall, 6-2 in conference play. The Georgia State Panthers. Darren Graniger is at quarterback. Robert Lewis at receiver is pretty good. Some questions on defense there, too, and the offensive line. Third, we have the App State Mountaineers, 8-4 overall, 6-2 in conference play. App State's usually a pre-annual contender in this league every year. Nate Noel's good at running back. They're deep at receiver. Pretty good offensive line, but a lot of questions defensively. Fourth, 7-5 overall, 5-3 in conference play. The Georgia Southern Eagles. Georgia Southern has a 6th-year quarterback in Davis Burton, and actually a 7th-year tackle in Brian Miller, which is crazy. Decent receiver room, but literally no defense to speak of. Fifth, 6-6 overall, 4-4 in conference play. The James Madison Dukes. I think JMU takes a step back from last year. Kalen Black's a good running back. Reggie Brown's good at receiver. Their defense actually is pretty solid. I have more questions for them offensively, though. Sixth, 5-7 overall, 4-4 in conference play. The Marshall Thundering Herd. Marshall does have some talent. They have a good offensive line, good receivers, and not a terrible pass rush. Next, in last, 2-10 overall, 1-7 in conference play, the Old Dominion Monarchs. Old Dominion is terrible. They have literally probably the least amount of talent in the conference, if you ask me. West Division, I have winning the Division 9-3 overall, 7-1 in conference play. The South Alabama Jaguars, I think South Alabama is going to be pretty good. They have a good quarterback in Carter Bradley, really good offense around him. Questions on the offensive line, but their defense is absolutely loaded. Really good pass rush, excellent secondary. And they have good special teams, too. Second, not 5-7 overall, 4-4 in conference play. The Southern Miss Golden Eagles. I think Southern Miss is similar to a couple other teams in this conference. Questions on offense. They have a good running back in Frank Jr., but their defense is the strength of the team. Really good run defense for sure. Third in the division, 6-6 overall, 4-4 in conference play. The Troy Trojans. Troy, similar to Southern Miss. A really good running back in Kamani Vidal. Good special teamer in Jay Bray Barber. But their strength of their team's on defense. They have really good linebackers, good pass rush, good secondary. Fourth, 5-7 overall, 3-5 in conference play. The Arkansas State Red Wolves. I think that Arkansas State has a lot of questions, especially on the defensive side of the ball. Good running back is Zach Wells, who was a transfer. Fifth, 5-7 overall, 3-5 in conference play. Louisiana Raging Cajuns. I think Louisiana is a team that is going to take a step back a little bit. They went 6-6 last year, and I think they finished beneath 500 this year. They have questions at a lot of different places, especially on the offensive side of the ball. 5-7 overall, 3-5 in conference play. The Texas State Bobcats. Texas State actually is decent defensively. They have a decent defense. Good linebackers, good secondary. Their questions are on offense. And then in the cellar, 3-9 overall and 1-7 in conference play. The Louisiana Monroe Warhawks. Louisiana Monroe sometimes flirts with bowls. They went 4-8 last year. The year before, 4-8. 0-10 in COVID. But I have them going 3-9 overall, 1-7 in conference play. They have one talented player on offense, Tyron Howell, the 6-year receiver. And they really don't have much else offensively. They have some talent defensively, too. Some big losses, especially on the defensive side of the ball. So for the Sun Belt Championship, I have Coastal Carolina playing South Alabama. I think both these teams are absolutely insane loaded. I think that Coastal Carolina is better offensively, but South Alabama is better defensively. In the trenches, who's better? You can make a case either side. But I think Coastal Carolina's offense, led by Grayson McCall, will be too much for South Alabama to handle. So I'm going to go with Coastal Carolina over South Alabama. So now we'll do futures. Actually, no. before we do features, we'll do bold predictions for every group of 5 conference. So 1 per conference. All right. Bold prediction for the American. UTSA goes undefeated, and they make a New Year's Six Bowl, and I don't know if they win or lose that. My prediction for Conference USA, I'm going to say that it's announced at some point that another FCS school will be joining the FBS and will be joining that conference. I don't know who that will be. Maybe it's somebody in like the area of James Madison and Jacksonville State, because it seems like it's a lot of like those types of schools. Maybe it's Jackson State for what we know, but I do think that somebody from the FCS will be in the Conference USA next season. And it'll be announced at some point during the year. The MAC. I'm going to predict for the MAC that Maurice Linguist won't be back at Buffalo. I just don't think that this era has worked in Buffalo, so I think he's ousted at the end of the year. Mountain West, I already called it. I think Brady Hoke goes back to the Power 5, and I think he goes to Cal. And in my prediction for the Sun Belt, I am going to predict that Kane Womack makes the jump to Power 5. I don't know where he goes, but I'm going to say Kane Womack gets the jump, and a Major Applewhite, who was a former coordinator at Houston and then with Alabama, will get promoted to the head coaching job at South Alabama, and Kane Womack will go to somebody that is looking to hire a coach. Maybe Kane Womack goes to West Virginia. Maybe he goes to Rutgers. Maybe he goes to somebody I'm not thinking of. Maybe Zona. But I think he'll end up somewhere. And I think that he'll lead South Alabama to a very good season. All right, very quick with the win totals. We'll start with the American. Charlotte's at 3.5. I have him at 2. East Carolina's at 5.5. Oh, I like the under, but it's juice minus 130. FAU's at 7.5. Woof, I like that under a lot. And I mean a lot. Under 7.5 minus 120. Love it. Memphis is at 8.5. I like the under, and it's juiced. Navy's at 5.5. Stay away. I have them at 6. North Texas is at 6.5. Stay away. Rice is at 4.5. I really like the over 4.5 for Rice, minus 110. SMU's at 8.5. Really like that over too. South Florida's at 4.5. I would lean under, but pass. Temple, 5.5. I like the under. That's pretty much betting on them to make a bowl game. Tulane's at 9.5. Pass, because I have them at 10. Tulsa's 4.5. Under 4.5's juiced. I like that. UAB's 4.5. I think that's low. I like the over. And UTSA's at 7.5. Oh my God, do I love the over so much at minus 172. So my favorite, though, I have to be honest, it's actually over 4.5 for Rice. I would never imagine the day that the Rice over would be my favorite play in the American. Conference USA win totals. FIU's 3.5. Pass. Jacksonville State's 4.5. I would lean there under. La Tech 6.5. Over is even money. Like that one a lot. Liberty's 8.5. Pass. Middle's at 6. I like the under 6.5 minus 115. So New Mexico State actually 13 games, which I did not realize at first because I projected them to go 6-6. So I think I meant to click 7-6 for Mexico State. But the over-under is 4.5. I would take that over. Sam Houston State's 3.5. Pass. UTEP's 5.5. Over's even money. Oh my God, I love that one. And Western Kentucky's over-under is 8.5. Over's plus 110. So my two favorite ones, I have two to send out. Over 5.5 at even money for UTEP. And Louisiana Tech over 6.5 at even money. Those are my two favorite ones in the conference. The MAC. Akron is 3.5. Oh my God, I love the over's juiced at minus 184. But I love that over. Ball State's over 5.5 pass. Bowling Green's 4.5. I really liked it over at plus 108. Buffalo 6.5. I like the under a lot. It's juiced though. Central Michigan's 5.5. Stay away. Eastern Michigan 7.5. Oh my God, I think. Actually, no, I think that's a little high. Juice the under. I agree with that. Kent's at 2.5. I'll pass. Miami of Ohio's at 7.5. I really like the over at plus 104. Northern's at 5.5. Pass. And Toledo is 9.5. Juice to the under. And Western Michigan's 3.5. Juice to the under. So I have two favorite ones in this one, but the one that jumps out to me the most is Miami of Ohio over 7.5 wins at plus 104. I really love that one, and I think they can absolutely win their division this year. Mountain West Air Force is at 8.5. Pass. Boise's at 8.5. I love that over 8.5 at plus 134. Colorado State's at 4.5. I like the under at plus 134. Fresno's 8.5. Pass. Hawaii, they do play 13 games. They're at 3.5. I like the under at even money a lot. Nevada, 4.5 wins. I have them at 4. Pass. Mexico's 3.5. Oh, I kind of like the over. I have them at 5. San Diego State 7.5. That is way too. I like the over. Although I only have them at 8 and 4, but that does feel low. But at the same time, it's right because I have them at 8. San Jose State's 5.5. Oh my God, I love that over a lot. That's plus 104. UNLV's 5.5 too, which is insane. Pass. Utah State's 4.5. I talked about how they're in transition. And Wyoming is 5.5. And I like their over, and their over is juiced. My favorite one is San Jose State over 5.5 wins at plus 104. I really like that one a lot. And then Sunbelt win totals. Arkansas State is 4.5. I like the over. App State is 6.5. I like the over, and the over's juice. Although Arkansas State would be a pass 2 because I have them at 5. Coastal's 7.5. I love the over, even though it's minus 142. Georgia Southern 6.5. Pass. Georgia State's 5.5. Oh my God, I like that over plus 138. James Madison's 8.5. Juice the under. I like the under. Marshall's 7.5. Like the under, even though it's juiced. Old Dominion's 3.5. Pass. But I like the under. South Alabama 7.5. Juice the over. I like the over in that one. Southern Miss is 5.5. Pass. Texas State 4.5. Pass. Troy's 8.5. I like the under 8.5, minus 142. Louisiana 7.5. I like the under, it's minus 138. And UL Monroe's 3.5. I'll pass. My favorite one in this conference, and it's not even close. I love over 5.5 for Georgia State at plus 138. I think that's my favorite one. Division winners. MAC East. Ohio's plus 130. Miami of Ohio's plus 230. Buffalo plus 320. Akron's 11. So is Bowling Green. Kent's 50. I do think that Akron is a sleeper at 11-1. So I'm going to say Akron 11-1 to win the East Division is a sleeper. MAC West, Toledo minus 140, Eastern's plus 380, Northern's plus 550, Central's 10, Ball State's 11, Western's 29. I don't think you can really make a case for anybody other than Toledo to win the West in the MAC. I mean, Northern on value alone plus 550, so a rare pass for the MAC West. We don't have Sunbelt East, unfortunately, but we do have Sunbelt West. South Alabama's plus 155, Troy's plus 175, Louisiana plus 490, Southern Miss plus 850, Arkansas State is 20, Texas State's 22, Yale Monroe's 40. Believe it or not, I actually like South Alabama to win this division at plus 155. I think that's actually has some value, believe it or not, and it's not a minus number. All right, the conference winners. The American. Tulene's 230, SMU's 3-1, UTSA 450, FAU plus 650, Memphis 650, Temple's 24, Navy's 29, East Carolina, North Texas 50, Rice is 60, so is UAB, South Florida, Tulsa 75, Charlotte's 140. My favorite one for the conference. You know Tulane and SMU are the favorites. UTSA is a good call. But North Texas actually might have a shot to be pretty good. So my favorite from a value standpoint is North Texas at 50-1 from a long shot standpoint. Conference USA, Western plus 140, Liberty plus 210, Middle plus 550, La Tech plus 650, UTEP 11-1, New Mexico State 29-1, FIU 37-1. For this one, I like this is a really, really difficult one. I really like UTEP at 11-1. I think that is an absolute steal. The MAC. Toledo plus 175, Ohio 370, Buffalo 7-1, Miami of Ohio 7-1, Eastern's 9, Northern's 11, Central 16, Akron's 29, Ball State's 40, Western's 45, so is Bowling Green, Kent's 150. Okay. Miami of Ohio 7-1 is my favorite from a value standpoint. I really like their quarterback, Blaine Gabbert's brother. Mountain West. Boise 2-1, Fresno 320, Air Force 340, San Diego State 11-1, Wyoming 13-1, San Jose State 14-1, Colorado State 16-1, UNLV 23-1, Utah State 45-1, Nevada's 55, Hawaii 60, New Mexico's 200. I know the theme of this podcast has been picking the same teams from a value standpoint. I'm going to keep doing it. I love San Jose State at 14-1 for the conference. And then the Sun Belt, last but not least. South Alabama's 3-1, Troy 330, Coastal's 550, App State's 7, Marshall's 7, Southern's 12, Louisiana's 12, Miss is 19, Georgia State's 26, Texas State's 45, so is Old Dominion, Arkansas State's 50, Yale Monroe's 110. I'm going with Georgia State as my value play at 26-1 for the conference. I really think that there's an avenue for them to win a division, and then they go against South Alabama. Maybe they outscore them or whatever. So why not Georgia State 26-1? That is a lot of value on the Panthers. So there you have it for the latest part, which is part 6 of the 2023 college football season's prediction show. Part 7 will be all the bowl games, the Heisman, the national title game, and a lot more features and such.